here we are. 2026 is almost over. Teddy Baldessar has done his watches we wore the most video. Nico has done his tier list. So what's my thing? Well, I'm taking a look back at 2026, the good, the bad, and the hideous. I'm going to cover tariffs, the state of the industry, some of my favorite watches, and a few that should probably never have seen the light of day. It's the year in review. Let's dive in. There are more watches out there that caught my eye than I can mention in one video. And just stating 50 watches or 100 watches makes no sense. But I'm calling out the Omega Planet Ocean for a different kind of reason. 2024 was a stellar year for Omega. It was the year that Omega had one great release after the other, with the White House Speedy being the absolute pick of the litter. But until November, Omega's 2025 was at best meh. Nothing caught my eye, nothing impressed me. It was just retreads and some dull updates is what it felt like to me. But then they released the Omega Planet Ocean. For a lot of people, the jury is still out on this one because this watch has very little to do with the previous generation of modern Planet Oceans. The case is sharper, more angular, and a whole lot shinier. The bracelet is completely reworked. It has lost a lot of what made the Planet Ocean butch in its styling, and the watch now is much closer in market position to a Rolex Submariner. After years of drifting from an all-round, highly capable diver to a more and more niche big boy watch, the Planet Ocean is just firmly in the desk diver space again. It's got a tapered bracelet, it's got polished center links, all the bells and whistles. But that's not what I took note of as such. For me, it's Omega's willingness to remove the helium escape valve. They also made the watch smaller. They improved the bracelet, and they actually removed the display case back and slimmed down the watch considerably while still maintaining a depth rating of 600 meters. All of those things to me indicate that somebody at Omega is listening. $9,500, it isn't exactly cheap, but I think this is a watch that can give a Submariner just a little bit of competition. And more importantly, it signals that Omega is willing to change just a little. It's also been the year of roller coaster tariffs. Chinese watches are stuck at, I don't actually know what they're stuck at, but it's a lot. And more importantly, the de minimis exemption is gone, meaning that those sub $800 or $700 Chinese watch factory brand models are now a whole lot more expensive. As for Swiss watches, tariffs went up to 39%, which led brands to importing a ton of watches prior to the tariffs going into effect to avoid the tariff. In the months after, the imports to the US have fallen off a cliff. And now the tariffs are down to 15%, or maybe they've changed since I made the video. Who knows? It kind of depends on how many gold Rolex clocks you've been donated these days. But the fact is, it's been a pretty sucky year for most big brands. Half-year results are down across the board, except for a few exceptions like Citizen and Seiko. China is down, the US is down, Europe is lackluster at best, and yes, there's potential in India, but there's been potential in India for a long time, and it just has never really kicked in. No brands are going out of business, but the suppliers, they are really under pressure. The bullwhip effect through the supply chain hits the hardest at those first stage suppliers, the ones that make the parts and the components. They're the ones that are feeling the pinch. You can see it most clearly in places like Swatch Group, where it's their in-house suppliers that are really dragging things down. Now, is it going to continue? Who knows? Apparently, most economists are at best tepid in terms of what 2026 is going to look like. The latest US jobs report isn't even going to be published, so getting an idea of how things are going is a little bit hard. My own guess, 2026 is going to be a rough year again, and if you're not providing value in terms of product, you're going to be in for a tough time. Brands that push the price and the smoke and mirrors are the ones that are going to lose out as customers flock to better value offering brands. If you're new to the watch world, if you're new to watch collecting, and if you're new to my channel, then click the subscribe button. On this channel, I talk about watches I love, watch brands I love, and just everything watch related. I'm unbiased, I'm honest, and I'm in nobody's pocket. Click subscribe. Thanks a ton. Rolex launched the Ground Scrounger. It's hyper desirable, and it's one of the it watches to get a hold of in 2025, as is always the case with new Rolexes. The watch itself is everything that the Rolex almost always is. It's well made, it's well put together, it's got a really impressive movement with incredible accuracy. But it's also a slow, methodical, and almost a little bit late to the party release. Integrated bracelet watches have been a thing for a while now, and Rolex doesn't just jump on any old bandwagon, but now they're on it. They couldn't hold off any longer. Everybody and their sister has an integrated sports watch in their collection, so Rolex does as well. It's a very nice watch, but I'm not fawning over this one. I started to pay attention to Breitling again in 2025. I haven't bought a Breitling since 2003, but I was close this year. Breitling under George Kern have been slowly and methodically cleaning up the lineup, upgrading their products and launching one good watch after the other. This year, the signature watch was, for me, the Top Time P31. It's Breitling's answer to the Omega Aquaterra or the Nomos Club Sport models. It's a versatile, all-round everyday watch with a little bit more of a youthful twist compared to the Omegas and Rolex alternatives. Breitling also fitted the watch with a new movement built in collaboration with Sellita's AMT division. Overall package is priced pretty much in line with an Aquaterra, an IWC Mark 20 or an Oyster Perpetual, and the overall specifications, the finishing and the end-to-end quality are in line with those other offerings I've mentioned. Breitling isn't exactly a cheap brand, but they are one of the ones attempting to make the case that they're not cutting corners and trying to offer not just luxury, but also some sort of semblance of value. Breitling also debuted some limited edition Universal Geneve models. First, some Paul Rotter options that had potential, but then some very limited reinterpretations of the Nina Rindt models. For those of you that don't know, Nina Rindt was a good-looking woman who hung around her race car driver husband, Jochen Rindt, in the 60s. The watches that came out had original historical movements inside that had been restored and upgraded. Universal Geneve is swinging big, and they're going to swing big in 2026. I see them aiming for a GPHG nomination in the next 1 to 3 years. The watches are going to be out of reach of us normies, but the rich and famous, I think this could turn out to be the next hot watch brand if their regular releases deliver on the hype of these limited editions. I don't see Breitling going IPO in 2026 though. I don't think the money is there in the market, but Breitling are definitely doing good stuff. Watches I really liked. Nomos Club World Timer that I did a full review on. It's a top 5 release for the mass market this year. It's a cool movement, stellar dial, fabulous watch. Breguet released the 7225. It's a 10 hertz movement with all sorts of technical innovations. It's got a stunning dial. It's got an absolutely stellar movement and not even a hint of the fuddy-duddy old fart vibe Breguet usually has. They also won the main prize at the GPHD Awards. Honestly, I didn't read that much into it. Personally, there are other watches I would have chosen myself, but it feels to me like the industry wants Breguet to succeed and come out of the doldrums. So giving them a helping hand with some votes at the show doesn't feel out of the realm of possibility for me. 2 watches, though, don't turn a brand around, but Gregory Kissling, who I maintain is not a product guy, he's a brand and promotion guy. Maybe he can leverage the technical work done by those that came before him, and he can shape a narrative that makes Breguet more appealing to high-end customers without just going down the Audemars Piguet route. Christopher Ward also had a good year. They sell close to 40,000 watches now. That's ballpark the same as Oris. That's not a small little watch brand anymore. They've continued their approach of having relatively affordable, well-spec'd watches in the $1,000, $1,500 space, while they also launch more spec'd out watches from $3,000 to $5,000-ish. For me, it's the C12 Loco, which was also nominated in GPHD. It's not for everybody. Dial side bridges and visible balance wheels are usually reserved for horology as well, but Christopher Ward found a way to make a good-looking watch with a lot of value packed in. The Casio Edifice Mechanical also gets a shout out. Casio made an all-mechanical sports watch, and it's incredibly well priced. It's got a tons of bells and whistles in terms of bracelet, movement, and dial that you haven't seen from the likes of Seiko, Citizen, and Casio for a while, at least not at that price. I even think some people might feel that these brands have to some extent been falling behind in the affordable space, giving up the space to Chinese factory brands and micro-independents. Seiko has thrown money at their more premium offerings, but Casio apparently believes there's still money to be made in the sub $500 space. This is good value for buyers, and it's good for competition, and it's good as a signal for the value customer in 2026. Timex, on the other hand, launched a couple of watches this year that are more premium than you usually associate with Timex. The Giorgio Galli was both priced and spec'd a lot higher than most Timexes, but the product itself is really, really good. Again, it's a value offering that doesn't cut corners. Tudor aren't the it brand anymore. After 5 to 10 years where everybody would fall over themselves to praise Tudor's releases, 2025 felt like a company that finally have a complete lineup. I'm sure they had the Black Bay 68, that was a new release, and the light blue dial Black Bay 54 was cool, as is the 36mm Ranger. But as a whole, Tudor is past the stage where they're launching new exciting lines. Now it's dial updates and variants, plus older models that are approaching end of life, where updated new gen models are approaching relaunch. Tudor have been absolutely amazing at keeping the hype high. The Black Bay 41, when it first was released, got the enthusiast's heart beating. So did the 58, so did the 54, so did the Pelago, so did the FXD. But now these watches are just there. So we won't be getting as excited going forward. There'll be updates that we like, but that feeling of what exciting thing are they going to do this year is not one I have anymore, and I don't think I'm alone with that feeling. And they're also getting a little bit expensive. Watch my video about Longines. They are the brand that are set to take a front seat of the value train. One more word about Longines. We don't talk about them nearly enough considering the fact that they sell 1.5 or so million watches a year. $3,100 for a Spirit compared to $3,700 for a Tudor Ranger, the Magitech in titanium, the Ultrachron, the new Spirit Chrono, and the Zulu Times that have been out for a while are excellent options that are spec'd to the gills. You should pay more attention to Longines and their watches. My misses of the year. I still don't like the Patek Philippe Cubitus. I've seen it a couple of times now, and it's fine, it's desirable, people want it, and I think it's a miss. I still think it's a half measure. I still think it's a half-baked design. It's good enough to sell under the Patek name, but I don't believe it would sell under most other brand logos. Patek might not be cutting edge or hype because they have the longevity and the brand consistency and the heritage story. People want a Patek because it's a Patek, not because they're consistently the most amazing watches being released at the moment. And this watch just keeps that perception alive. Zenith won a well-deserved prize at GPHG for the GFJ. It was a gorgeous watch in so many ways and technically super astounding, but the key takeaway for me this year was the Lapis Lazuli annual calendar watch. For $8,000 more than the regular annual calendar, you get a Lapis Lazuli dial. The prize for most egregious price this year goes to Zenith for that one. Lapis Lazuli isn't easy to turn into a dial, but it doesn't add $8,000 on the cost. But I suppose we can take comfort in the fact that it's not only Richemont that price gouges, LVMH can do that as well. So, yay! Then there's the Genta Orsine. I made fun of that watch a few months back. I said it was a collab watch for the original Hellraiser movie and the watch Pinhead would wear. It won a GPHG award as well. And I'm sorry, I respect the craftsmanship. I respect the work that went into that watch. But this watch to me is just about as watchable as some Lars von Trier movies. It's too much, so respect, but me no likey. I clearly don't know anything about art. Parmigiani and Moser. The Tonda is a watch that I've been circling around for a while, but I think 2025 was the year where Parmigiani really took a step forward and said, will the real Slim Shady please stand up? The Toric is a fabulous watch. We're not talking about cheap watches, and I will likely never own one, but together with Moser, they're really paving a path. And to me, they feel like they're really taking up much more headspace than AP, Vacheron, and Patek. Where that classic Holy Trinity plus Richard Mille seem a little bit staid, and yesterday new brands like Parmigiani, Moser, Gribble Farce, and a couple of others are making waves. I think that's a good thing. I have hope that we'll see more competition instead of this continued consolidation into 3 or 4 ultra-dominant brands. It's not that I want Richard Mille to fail, I just want other brands to succeed more. More watches I liked. The Chopard Quattro. The only watch I actively called a grail this year. It's not hyper complicated, but it is just stunning in its execution. The movement, the case, the dial, everything. I still love that watch. The Frederic Constant Classics Premier. I dig that watch as well. There's a ton of these squiggly numeral sector style type dial watches out there. They are at all price points from Patek to Boltec, but this one is one of the best. It's just good looking, it's well put together, and Frederic Constant keeps sticking to their commitment to offering an incredibly good price to specs and quality proposition. This is a good example of why $1,500 to $3,000 is where you get the most watch for your money and pay relatively little for branding. The Glashütte Original Calendar I've had hands on many times now, and I've had a wrist on now, and it's the best pano model available. It just needs to be in steel for me. Glashütte Original punch so far above their weight, it's absolutely ridiculous. Watches I didn't like. Hublot made a watch that was supposed to look like a water droplet or something. I just don't get it. Genta Orsine, I don't like it. Jump House. What's up with Jump House? Bremont did one. Main and Lico Lender did one. Cartier did one. Gerald Genta, JLC, Bedard, I don't know how to say that, and Christopher Ward. And I'm not against jump hours as such. The only vintage watch I would like to own is a vintage Cartier jump hour. And a grail that I hope to own someday is a Lange & Söhne Zeitwerk. But it's a testament to the insular nature of the watch industry that so many brands in such a short space of time all end up releasing jump hour watches. They're trying to make it a thing, and I don't see it happening, especially not the Bremont. I mean, seriously, the outdoor land-focused Terra Nova is now available as a jump hour model. I'm sorry, no, that's panic and lack of belief in the core positioning of your product. As for me, 2025 was the year I hit 100,000 subscribers and 150,000 and also 160,000. I also got invited to GPHG. I was invited inside a total of 6 different manufacturers, and I've been fortunate enough to meet and talk to CEOs and COOs and watchmakers and designers at multiple brands. 2026 is still going to be the year where I have this as a hobby. People keep asking me if I'm going to quit and start to scale my channel, but I enjoy my side hobby. It's a bit of pressure knowing that watch brands are actually listening to what I have to say. I'm more than anyone aware that there's a fair bit of nonsense interspersed in my meandering monologues. But I'm having fun. And more than anything, I'm even more clear than ever before about the trust that you guys put in me. I stand by my assertion, and I will always say it, I'm not an expert. Whether it's watch brands history, watchmaking technique, specs, market decisions, there are a lot of people that know more about these things than me. So all I can do is I'm going to keep doing my best. I'll make my mistakes here and there, but that's part of learning and growing, and hopefully you'll forgive me when I do. I will stay committed to making high quality, unbiased, honest content that keeps you engaged. And hopefully you'll stick around with my channel in 2026 as well. Thanks so much for the support. Spread the word, like, subscribe. Cheers.